My wife dumped me for her boss at our anniversary party. She didn't see what came next. My wife dropped the bomb that she was leaving me for her boss, right in the middle of our 10th anniversary party. Her family cut ties with her on the spot. 7 months have gone by since then, and I've got to say, karma really did its thing. Even now, as I sit here writing this out, I'm still in disbelief. Just 3 days ago, my world completely fell apart, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around it all by putting the story into words. Honestly, it's hard just getting this down. Never in a million years did I think I'd be one of those guys spilling their relationship train wreck on Reddit. I'm calling us Jake and Lena. Those seem to be the go-to-fake names around here. I'm a little freaked out that someone we know might read this and connect the dots, but with how wild this whole mess is, I'm pretty sure anyone who was at that party would recognize it right away. I guess I should start by saying that up until 3 days ago, I thought our marriage was decent. Not perfect by any means, but steady. We had plans for the future, dreams we'd been working toward, but all that's toast now. To give you some background, my wife Lena's always had what you might call a fiery personality. If something doesn't go her way or you question her ideas, she flips the switch fast, like 0 to full-blown chaos in a heartbeat. She talks a mile a minute, raises her voice, throws little things around the house, slams doors, you name it. It's like a storm rolls in until everyone around her gives in. And once the dust settles, she goes quiet. Cold silence. Won't speak a word till you give in. I've dealt with this behavior for years because, plain and simple, I loved her. Over time, I just got used to walking on eggshells to keep the peace. I know how that sounds. Before continuing the story, I'd like to ask you to subscribe to this channel so that you don't miss new and interesting stories, and to like and share this video with your friends. Believe me, I get it. But it's like the old saying goes, you don't notice the water's boiling until you're cooked. After 10 years together, I developed all these little tricks just to survive the mood swings. I got good at reading the warning signs, spotting the tension before it boiled over, and doing everything I could to defuse the situation before it hit full blast. Before I get into the big blow-up, I should probably give you a few examples so you get a sense of what I was dealing with all this time. Let me start with something from about 3 years ago. We were gearing up for some big home renovations, not crazy stuff, just updating the kitchen and redoing the master bath. We'd been putting money aside for a while, and I was genuinely excited to make the house feel more like ours instead of just that starter place we bought. Right out of the gate, Lena took charge of everything, which was totally fine by me. She's always had a better eye for style and design. But then she hired a contractor after just one meeting, some guy she instantly liked. No comparisons, no second opinions, just, he's the one. When I looked over the quote he gave us, it was way over what we'd budgeted, and a few things didn't sit right with me. The timeline felt ridiculously short. They claimed they could tear out and rebuild our whole kitchen in 2 weeks, which, if you've ever dealt with contractors, you know is a fantasy. Plus, the materials list was super vague, just things like premium countertops and high-quality cabinetry, without any details about brands or what they were even made of. I've read enough renovation horror stories online to know this could go south fast. So I gently brought up the idea of getting a few more estimates, just to compare, nothing personal. I didn't say she picked the wrong guy. I just thought it was the smart thing to do. You'd think I'd insulted her intelligence. She absolutely blew up, accused me of sabotaging the whole project, said I didn't trust her judgment, and claimed she'd handle it all herself from now on. She started ranting that I was always picking apart her ideas, always making her feel dumb. Then she stormed out and gave me the silent treatment, 2 full days of pretending I didn't exist in our own house. All because I suggested getting multiple quotes on a major renovation. Eventually, I wore her down not by arguing, but by accidentally leaving horror story threads open on my laptop, just in case she glanced over. We did end up getting that second quote, and shocker, the first guy was overpriced and completely unrealistic. The second contractor pointed out a bunch of problems the first one hadn't even mentioned. Lena went with the second company in the end, but she never admitted she was wrong or said sorry for the fight. She just acted like none of it ever happened, like choosing a new contractor had been her idea all along. Honestly, I was just so relieved we weren't getting screwed that I let it go. Chalked it up as another battle not worth fighting. Something similar happened around 1.5 years ago when we were planning our yearly vacation. It was my turn to pick, and we'd always taken turns. It was kind of our thing. We talked before about doing something outdoors this time, maybe a cabin near a national park with some good hiking trails. I always thought she enjoyed those kinds of trips. We'd had some great times hiking together. Evenings by the fire, sipping wine and talking under the stars, those were some of my favorite moments with her. I'd actually been researching for months, had a whole folder on my laptop full of bookmarks. I found affordable cabins near Yosemite, guided hikes, even a service that'd deliver gourmet meal kits to the cabin so we could cook together without stressing over groceries. I was genuinely excited. I'd been dropping little hints about it, and she seemed into it, asked questions, acted interested. But then out of nowhere, she came home waving around some glossy travel magazine. She'd read about this fancy Caribbean resort with private pools, butlers, and who knows what else. And just like that, that's where we were going. No discussion. Never mind the fact that it was 3 times what we'd agreed to spend on vacations. When I brought up the outdoor plans I'd been working on for months and gently reminded her about our budget, she completely lost it. She started yelling that I was being difficult on purpose, accusing me of trying to rob her of the kind of experiences everyone else gets to enjoy. Said all our friends were off on fancy vacations, total nonsense, by the way. Then she claimed I was embarrassing her by being cheap, which couldn't have been further from the truth. I'm not stingy, I'm just practical and careful with our money. But that didn't matter in the moment. She grabbed a throw pillow off the couch and chucked it across the room. It hit a shelf and knocked over a picture frame, the one with our wedding photo in it, and the glass shattered when it hit the floor. Honestly, the way that photo broke felt like some twisted metaphor for what was happening between us. Looking back now, I realized that was a turning point. Right after that meltdown, she flat out said the outdoor trip wasn't happening. If I was going to be such a downer, she'd just book the fancy resort herself. And that's exactly what she did. She stormed into our bedroom, slammed the door so hard a painting fell off the wall, and then gave me hours of cold silence. I slept on the couch that night. The next morning, when I tried to bring it up again, she acted like nothing had happened. Like we hadn't fought, like nothing had been broken, like it was all perfectly normal. That same day, she went ahead and booked the resort anyway, charged it to our joint credit card before I could get a word in. And I didn't stop her. Not because I agreed, but because I already knew what would happen if I pushed back. More fights, more guilt trips, more silence that lasted for days. So we went to the resort. It was beautiful, sure, but I couldn't enjoy a second of it knowing how we got there, knowing what it cost us, not just financially, but emotionally. That whole cycle played out again and again during our marriage. I'd voice a concern, raise a question, or try to compromise. She'd blow up, loud fights, icy silences, and then steamroll ahead like I'd never said anything. I usually just stayed calm, watched her unravel, and eventually gave in. Not because I agreed, but because it was easier than dragging things out and walking on eggshells for weeks afterward. Our friends used to joke that Lena wore the pants in our relationship. They'd nudge me with an elbow and say, "Happy wife, happy life, right, Jake?" And I'd laugh along because, honestly, what else was I supposed to do? Admit I was scared of my own wife's temper? That I'd given up on being an equal partner because it just wasn't worth the emotional warfare? I can see now how messed up that dynamic was, but at the time, it was just my everyday life. You normalize it without even realizing it. You adapt. You tell yourself every couple has their quirks. And I did love her, despite all of it. We had good times, real memories I cherished. But that constant tension, the unpredictability, the eggshells, the feeling like my needs didn't matter, it slowly chipped away at me. It wore me down more than I ever understood, at least, not until it all came crashing down. Now, let me tell you what happened 3 nights ago. The night that burned my marriage to the ground and ripped away any illusions I still had about who my wife really was. We were celebrating our 10th anniversary, 10 years of marriage, with a party. Around 50 people showed up. We'd rented out a really nice event space downtown for the evening. Lena handled most of the planning, and that was fine by me. It was something she was good at: coordinating, decorating, making things look polished. The guest list was a mix of close friends, a few of my coworkers, and most of her family, her parents, and both of her younger brothers. My side of the family couldn't make it. My parents retired to Portugal a few years back, and my sister's living in Australia. Honestly, after what went down, I'm kind of grateful they weren't there to witness the disaster. Up to that point, the evening had been going great. Food was top-notch. Open bar. Everyone was mingling and having a good time. During dinner, a few guests stood up and gave sweet little toasts, shared stories, offered congratulations. Lena was smiling, affectionate, even holding my hand under the table. She leaned in for whispered jokes and gave me this look like everything was right in the world. After dinner, I was about to head up to the small stage to say a few words. I prepared a short thank you speech, nothing over the top, just something heartfelt to express my gratitude and say a few kind words about Lena and our journey together. But before I could even stand up, Lena walked up there first, with her boss, Eric. I didn't even know the guy was coming. He wasn't on the guest list we had talked through. Apparently, he showed up an hour into the event. Lena had stepped out briefly around that time, and when she came back, he was with her. Her family looked confused too. I caught her dad glancing at her mom with a look like, "What the hell is going on?" Lena grabbed the mic and the room instantly went quiet. Everyone turned to watch her. She had this odd smile, nothing like her usual warm grin. It looked smug, like she was proud of something. Then she started talking. She said tonight was a celebration, but not just of our 10 years together. She said it was about a new chapter in her life. At first, I thought maybe she was announcing a promotion or some career change. I didn't have time to guess again before she hit us all with it. She announced, right there in front of everyone, that she was leaving me. Dead silence. The whole room just froze. Everyone's heads whipped back and forth between me and her, trying to make sense of what they just heard. My body felt like it shut down. It was like all the oxygen had been sucked out of the room. I couldn't move. I couldn't speak. My brain couldn't even process the words. Lena, leaving me? It didn't compute. It was like someone rewrote the laws of physics. My heart just couldn't catch up. I kept thinking, maybe I'd misunderstood, or maybe this was some twisted prank. But then she kept going, and it got worse. So much worse. She pointed at Eric, still standing there beside her. He's about 10 years older than us. I'd heard through the grapevine that he'd been divorced twice. She said she was leaving me for him, that he was someone who was truly man enough to give her what she wanted. And then she spelled it out, she wanted a baby. She wanted to start a family. And Eric, apparently, was the one who could give her that. Those words, man enough, hit me like a punch in the gut. We've been trying to have a baby for a few years with no luck. And not long ago, I found out that the problem was on my end. Some fertility issues. Low counts. I'd been processing that quietly, feeling broken in my own way, trying to be strong about it. And there she was, using that pain as a weapon, right in front of everyone we knew. That moment gutted me. What she'd said, hell, how she said it, was something I was still trying to process. The fertility stuff? That was private. Deeply personal. We'd only talked about it with a handful of close family. And now she was just lobbing it out there like a grenade in front of everyone we knew. No warning, no mercy. She wrapped it all up by saying, this is happening now. This is my choice, and I'm moving forward with it in this cold, clipped tone, like she was giving a damn boardroom presentation instead of ending a 10-year marriage. I couldn't move. I just stood there, locked up. It was like my body knew I'd been hit, but my brain hadn't caught up yet. I couldn't breathe right. My face went from hot to freezing in seconds. The whole room tilted like I was on a ship. I saw faces staring back at me, shocked, confused, pitying. Just minutes earlier, these same people had been congratulating us. My coworkers. My friends. And now this was going to be the story they'd remember. The night my life split in half. Then I saw Lena's family. Her dad, her mom, her brothers, all of them looked just as blindsided as I felt. Her dad gave her mom this look, like, what the hell is happening right now? And Lena? She was up there with that smug son of a bitch Eric, her boss. The same guy who'd been in our house. Sat at our dinner table. Shook my hand. All while secretly screwing my wife. My mind was sprinting in circles, trying to figure out when it started. How long it had been going on. What signs I'd missed. Just the night before, we'd eaten dinner together, laughing about who would cry first during the toasts. That same morning, she kissed me goodbye like nothing was wrong. And now this? How do you go from a normal morning to nuking your marriage in front of 50 people? Before I could even react, her dad stood up. His voice cut through the room. Your behavior is shameful, Lena. The things you're saying about Jake are hurtful and untrue. And doing this in front of everyone is beyond disrespectful. Then her mom chimed in. We did not raise you to behave this way. We do not support what you're doing. Not one bit. But her dad wasn't finished. He delivered the final blow, cold and clear. Because of your actions tonight, the way you've humiliated your husband and yourself, we consider you to have cut yourself off from this family. We disown you, Lena. All four of them nodded. And then they walked out. Just like that. They didn't even flinch when she called after them. I've known her parents a long time. They're old school, yeah, but they're kind, loyal, big on family. I've never seen them like that, so united, so clearly disgusted. That's when the weight of what just happened really sank in. If they, the people who loved her unconditionally, were walking away from her, then this wasn't just a messy breakup. This was scorched earth. Lena clearly hadn't seen that coming. She panicked, started screaming after them, her voice sharp and frantic. I couldn't even make out the words anymore, just high-pitched noise over the rush in my ears. Eric tried to touch her arm, maybe to settle her down, but she jerked away like he'd burned her. In that instant, she looked totally unhinged, not at all like the self-assured woman who just declared her new beginning 5 minutes earlier. That's when something in me clicked off. Or maybe it clicked on, I don't know. I went totally still inside, calm somehow. I walked up to the stage. My voice came out flat, controlled, like it belonged to someone else. I looked right at them and said, you need to leave. Now. Eric, that smug prick, actually tried to reason with me. Said, Jake, we need to talk. And I shut him down mid-sentence. No, we don't. You both need to get the fuck out of here before I break your goddamn nose. I pointed toward the exit, same one her family had used. Something about the look on my face must have made it clear I wasn't bluffing. They exchanged a look, Lena still shaking, and finally backed off. They went to a table to grab their stuff and slipped out. And then, silence. Just complete, awful silence. 50 people standing around, not a single word being spoken. Just stunned faces staring at me, waiting to see what I'd do next. My boss was there. His wife, too. Friends I'd known since college. People who'd seen us build this life together. I felt like I owed them something, some kind of explanation or closure. So I walked back up to the mic, cleared my throat. My voice cracked, but I kept it together. I think it's safe to say the party's over, I said. I'm sorry it ended like this. Thank you all for coming. I appreciate your support. What else was there to say? Surprise. My wife's been sleeping with her boss and just dropped the news like a bomb at our anniversary party. Or, hey, don't worry about me. I'm just emotionally gutted beyond repair. Nothing I could say would fix the mess. Nothing could make people unsee what had just happened. People started packing up. Quiet, uneasy, whispering to each other as they made their way to the door. Some of my closest friends came over, gave me stiff hugs or clapped me on the back, murmured things like, let me know if you need anything, or, I'm so sorry, man. I thanked them, nodded, but I didn't really hear any of it. It was like I was underwater. Everything distant, echoing, slow. About half an hour later, the place was empty. Just me and a couple of uncomfortable venue staff quietly sweeping up confetti and broken pieces of what used to be my life. I stuck around after everyone left to help clean up, not just because it was in the rental agreement, though it was, but because I honestly needed something to keep my hands busy. Something normal. Wiping tables, stacking chairs, anything that might distract my mind from the total collapse it was trying to process. The venue manager kept glancing over at me with that look. You know the one, soft eyes and a tight-lipped smile, like she didn't know what to say but felt like she should say something. Somehow, that made it worse. I paid off the remaining balance. Signed whatever paperwork she slid across the table. Then finally left. Walking into the house, our empty, quiet house, was like taking another gut punch. 10 years. 10 damn years of marriage. Just gone. I sat down on the edge of our bed. The same bed we'd shared for a decade. And that's where I finally broke down. No more keeping it together. I don't know how long I sat there, just staring at the floor, feeling completely hollow, but eventually I picked up my phone. That's when the flood hit. Text after text from Lena. All over the place. First, she was stunned. I can't believe my family did this to me. Then she kind of admitted that the announcement was a mistake. I shouldn't have done it that way, but still stuck to her decision to leave me. You have to understand. I need to move on. She started tossing out suggestions. Maybe we talk? Maybe see a counselor together? We should sit down with someone who can help us through this transition. That was the word she used, transition. Like this was some kind of mutual job change, not her detonating our entire life in public. And then came the guilt tripping. It was a cry for help, she said. But she never explained what help she needed, or why the hell her idea of asking for help was to humiliate me in front of everyone we know. And of course, eventually it shifted to blame. If you had been more attentive. If you'd taken my needs seriously. As if this was my fault. Like I'd pushed her into Eric's arms. The tone of the messages kept shifting, like she was just throwing everything at the wall to see what might stick. One minute she was the poor, misunderstood daughter. The next, the reasonable one trying to work things out. Then, somehow, the victim, driven to this by my supposed shortcomings as a husband. But that was always her way. Lena had a knack for spinning things, reworking the story until she looked like the hero or the martyr. This time, though, there was no spinning it, no smoothing it over. She crossed a line, and there was no coming back from it. I didn't reply, didn't answer her calls either. Instead, I got online that night and found a divorce lawyer, called the next morning, and set up an appointment. And that's why I'm writing all this. Not because I'm asking if I did the right thing. I already know I did. I just needed to get it down. To make some sense out of how everything I knew and trusted came crashing down in one single night. Update. 1 week later. Thanks to everyone who commented on my first post. A few folks asked for more details, especially about what exactly happened at the party and how Lena's family reacted. So here's a bit more. The party was held in a private room we rented just for the evening. Her parents and brothers were there from the beginning, sitting near the stage at a reserved table. Unfortunately, my family couldn't make it. They live overseas. Eric, her boss? He wasn't even invited. He showed up about an hour into the night, right after Lena had stepped out for a bit and came back with him in tow. Her family clearly hadn't expected him either. The look on her dad's face said it all. For those asking about what she actually said, I don't remember it word for word. It's a blur, but it was something along the lines of, everybody, I have something to share. Tonight isn't just about celebrating 10 years. It's about a new chapter. I'm leaving Jake. I found someone who's better for me. Someone who's man enough to give me what I want. A baby, a family. This is my choice, and I'm moving forward with it. She pointed right at Eric while saying it. That speech is what made my decision crystal clear. She ended our marriage, publicly and deliberately. She dragged my name through the mud in front of our entire social circle and threw in a betrayal that would have been brutal even behind closed doors. The fact that her own family, people who had always been on her side, were so horrified they cut ties with her, tells you everything you need to know. As for her messages afterward, damage control. That's all they were. No real explanation. No genuine remorse. Just spin, blame, and desperation. The morning after the party, I sat down with a divorce lawyer. Told him everything. Gave him all the info about our marriage, assets, finances, the whole picture. He filed the petition for divorce, and I signed it. We had the papers served to Lena at our house. She was still living there at the time. After she got served, her messages got more intense. Constant. She kept demanding that I withdraw the petition, insisting I had no right to end the marriage. Claimed I was blowing everything out of proportion. One minute she was begging, the next she was threatening and insulting me. Said I was trying to ruin her life. Like she hadn't already burned it all to the ground on her own. I didn't answer. But I saved every message, especially the nasty ones, and forwarded them to my lawyer. Lena hired her own attorney pretty quickly, and I gave instructions that from here on out, all communication had to go through the lawyers. I'm done talking to her directly. And that's where things stand. The divorce process has officially started. We're speaking only through legal channels now. I'm trying to pick up the pieces and move forward.